there's something that grips you a little bit and changes your perspective. And I feel like a lot of movies can't do that. They can't fully. They only take parts of what you are, but they don't speak and create a dialogue or a relationship very quickly, or not very quickly. But when you have a movie that uses basic values that, let's say, your father teaches you or your mother, and just ignites something inside of you that then you feel like, yeah, I can do anything. I can change the world. I fail to find those kinds of stories, but this one did that for me, and I want to talk about it. It's called The Last Samurai. So yeah, let's start talking about this movie. I'm really excited. Are you excited? Because here we go. And this story's concept is really simple. It's easy to sell. It's based on somewhat loosely a real story, but not entirely. The original story is about a French soldier, not a U.S. soldier, so there's a difference there. But other than that, someone becoming and adopting themselves as a samurai, and then inheriting and taking on, the burden or the livelihood or way of being different type of people. They've never once stood in a place like that ever, but this character just is worn down, right? He's got nothing left. He's just filled with grief and regret and post-traumatic memories of, war and what he's done. So he finds himself just kind of wandering, right? Until, he's right. People kind of recognize him. Oh yeah, you were in the war. You're a war veteran, and you were a captain. But he just finds little glory or meaning in it until he uses it to turn the tide, or at least try. But ultimately, he doesn't, and it does break your heart to see people try to strive for hope, try to strive for preserving the past and where they came from. But it's more than that. It's about just finding your true self, finding peace, and love where you may not have expected it. And it speaks so many volumes. This movie doesn't try to impress you. It depicts men as caring and hardworking and kind, where in areas in other movies, even for Tom Cruise playing as Nathan Algren, seeing this almost, I will say, almost biblical presentation of a man. So I would make the joke, oh, he looks like Jesus. Oh, look, all these moist criticals walking around. Yeah, baby, that's what we win for. Here we go. Woo! You know what I mean? Because, look at all these guys. They look pretty freaking critical-esque. I find Katsumoto very interesting, though. He's just very odd and funny. He likes to be quirky. He likes to, write, read, poetry, all that stuff. The things you wouldn't expect. You'd just be like, oh yeah, he's a big war chief guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's the leader, he's the king. No, he's totally quirky and odd, and it's great. And he totally takes our main character off guard. He's like, what the hell? What's up with you? And he's like, I just want to have a conversation. He doesn't even try to kill him or do anything. He just believes that it's all for a reason, even though it might be risking everything. It does. It puts everyone on edge. Everyone, including his brother's wife who died. The brother died, and then Nathan Algren staying in her house, and It gets really fucking crazy. Like, just it's so wacky that it just works. Like, this feels kind of real, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's just wacky enough to feel oddly nostalgic and realistic. Another thing that's nice to see is when Nathan Algren is kind of beat down and just genuinely, like, he's used as an example so many times. It's like, you know, there's an undertone of what they're trying to say. They're trying to imply that, you know, a man can fall, he can cry, but he gets back up even though he's vulnerable and scared. You know what I mean? But he doesn't act out in anger. He doesn't, you know, act like a dick or anything like that. No, on the opposite, he actually gets to know these people and really just see the humanity in them instead of an idealistic interpretation of what they should be based off of, you know, a big scary samurai. You know, they really try to, you know, yeah, like, people do react to things like that, though. You know what I mean? They're trying to give that example of this is what people do in real life when they're being racist or prejudiced. They'll create stereotypes and they'll simplify it down so that they can tell their kids, like, don't talk to those people. They're this, and it's just extremely childish. But this movie tries to stray away from that. It tries to actually, you know, be more mature and take things to a level that I feel speaks volumes about the directors and the people working on it. And I feel like they really did push all of these actors to a place that it just melds. You know what I mean? You feel the natural transition and melding of scenery and interaction and what they're intending to do. There's a day-to-day life in this world. It feels lived in, and of course it's going to feel lived in because it's based off of real stuff, but at the same time, you know that it's kind of fictional, and for them to try to recreate this and be as authentic as it is extremely impressive. So there's a scene where Katsumoto is threatened by invading ninjas, or at least they look like ninjas. I don't think they're exactly ninjas, but of course that is, you know, they do dress very stereotypically. But aside from that, Nathan Algren, of course, is the one who sees them. They're at a party. They're just doing, you know, party stuff. Katsumoto's doing a little performance, and yeah, they get attacked. But instead of them, you know, like, worried about Nathan, they let him fight. You know what I mean? They let him train in this movie. They let him become, you know, a protector if he's gonna be there, because he has to stay there till the winter breaks and then he can travel back. But the point is, after saving Katsumoto, and, or at least not losing everyone, but they did lose a few people, there's a bond, a trust between them that they start, you know, becoming less and less, well, at least on Nathan's side, on edge towards everyone else. And after he leaves, after a year being there, there's a shift. There's a point where he just doesn't see the world, you know, where he came from the same. He sees them as the enemy. He sees invading and taking away land and taking away, you know, simplicity and peace that ultimately makes him turn to a side where he just wants to preserve himself and preserve others around him. He realizes there is virtue and just a better way of life for him in that. We do see relatives, forget the guy's name, the younger guy, I'll just say call him the younger guy. He dies and a few other characters die, but I mean, the acting in this movie, you do really feel invested and you feel propelled to see one more scene with them. You don't go, oh god, another scene with this character. Each character deserves, and this is where I always compliment a movie or a story. When you have a character you see that you want to know a little bit more about, right? Something they're wearing, or the way they talk, or something about them that just makes you, they add to the story. They give it more depth, more volume, more to feel. And every character in this movie just acts their scenes out with their heart, and you feel it, and that's really amazing. And I can't explain enough how good this movie is. But at the same time, it kind of has that home movie feeling. Like, yeah, this feels like a camera that they used like from like Warriors of Virtue. It looks really like kind of like low 80s style, like kind of, it's not the highest end production, but it has everything it needs. That's what I love about this movie, is it has just enough, but not too much, not too little. That's the thing that's hard to do when you're shooting films like this, especially when you have a limited budget or whatever, and you're just trying to pull something off. And every single character in this movie and everyone working on it just completely knocks it out of the park. It's really good.
Perfect.